Hello and welcome to Fun to Learn. Today I'll be reading Chemistry, Class 11th Chapter First, Some Basic Concepts of Chemistry. Follow the book along for better understanding. Let's get going. Chemistry deals with the composition, structure, and properties of matter. These aspects can be best described and understood in terms of basic constituent of matter, atoms and molecules. That is why chemistry is called the science of atoms and molecules. Can we see, weigh, and perceive these entities? Is it possible to count the number of atoms and molecules in a given mass of matter and have a quantitative relationship between the mass and the number of particles, atoms, and molecules? We will like to answer some of these questions in this unit. We would further describe how physical quantities of matter can be quantitatively described using numerical values with suitable units. 1.1 Importance of chemistry. Science can be viewed as a continuing human effort to systemize knowledge for describing and understanding nature. For the sake of convenience, science is subdivided into various disciplines: chemistry, physics, biology, zoology, etc. Chemistry is the branch of science that studies the composition, properties, and interaction of matter. Chemists are interested in knowing how chemical transformation occur. Chemistry plays a central role in the science and is often intertwined with the other branches of science like physics, biology, and geology, etc. Chemistry also plays an important role in daily life. Chemical principles are important in diverse areas such as weather pattern, functioning of brain, operating of a computer, chemical industries, manufacturing, fertilizers, alkali, acids, salts, dyes, polymers, drugs, soaps, detergent, metals, alloys, and other inorganic and organic chemicals, including new material, contribute in a big way to the national economy. Chemistry plays an important role in meeting human needs for food, health, and healthcare products and other materials aimed in improving the quality of life. It is exemplified by a large scale production of variety of fertilizer, improved variety of pesticides and insecticide. Similarly, many life-saving drugs such as cisplatin and Taxol are effective in cancer therapy, and AZT azithromycin is used in helping AIDS victims have been isolated from plants and animal sources or prepared by synthetic method. With a better understanding of chemical principles, it is now become possible to design and synthesize new material having specific magnetic, electric, and optical properties. This has led to the production of superconducting ceramics, conducting polymers, optical fibers, and large-scale miniaturization of solid-state devices. In the recent year, chemistry has tackled with a fair degree of success some of the pressing aspects of environmental degradation. Safer alternative to environmentally hazardous refrigerants like CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons responsible for ozone depletion in the stratosphere, have been successfully synthesized. However, many big environmental problems continue to matter for grave concern to the chemist. One such problem is the management of the greenhouse gases like methane, carbon dioxide, etc. Understanding of biochemical processes, use of enzyme for a large scale production of material are some of the intellectual changes for future generation of chemists. A developing country like India needs talented and creative chemists for accepting such challenges. 1.2 Nature of matter. You are already familiar with the term matter from your earlier classes. Anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. Everything around us, for example, book, pen, pencil, water, air, all living beings, etc., are composed of matter. You know that they have mass and they occupy space. You are also aware that matter can exist in three physical states, that is, solid, liquid, and gas. The constituent particle of a matter in the three states are represented as shown in the figure 1.1. In solids, the particles are held very close to each other in an orderly fashion and there is not much freedom for movement. In liquid, the particles are close to each other but can move around. However, in gases, the particles are far apart as compared to those present in solid or liquid states and their movement is easy and fast. Because of such arrangement of particles, different states of matter exhibit the following characteristics. First, solids have definite volume and definite shape. Second, liquids have definite volume but not the definite shape. They take the shape of the container in which they are placed. Third, gas have neither definite volume nor definite shape. They completely occupy the container in which they are placed. These three states of matter are interconvertible by changing conditions of temperature and pressure. On heating, a solid usually changes to liquid and the liquid on further heating changes to gaseous or vapor state. In the reverse process, a gas on cooling liquefies to liquid and a liquid on further cooling freezes to solid. At the macroscopic or bulk level, matter can be classified as pure or mixed substances. These are further subdivided into two as shown in the figure. Many of the substances present around you are mixtures. For example, sugar solution in water, air, tea, etc. are all mixture. A mixture contains two or more substances present in any ratio which are called components. A mixture may be homogeneous or heterogeneous. In a homogeneous mixture, the components completely mix with each other and the composition is uniform throughout. Sugar solution and air are thus the example of homogeneous mixture. In contrast to this, in heterogeneous mixture, the composition is not uniform throughout and it sometimes different components can be observed. For example, the mixture of a salt and sugar, grains and pulses, along with some dirt, often stone pieces, are heterogeneous mixture. Can you think of many examples of mixture which you can come across in daily life? It is worthwhile to mention here that components of a mixture can be separated using physical methods such as simple hand picking, filtration, crystallization, distillation, etc. Pure substances have a characteristics different from the mixture. They have fixed composition, whereas mixture may contain the components in any ratio and their composition is variable. Copper, silver, gold, water, glucose are some examples of pure substances. Glucose contains carbon, hydrogen and oxygen in fixed ratio and thus, like all other pure substances, have fixed composition. Also, the constituent of a pure substance cannot be separated by simple physical methods. Pure substances can be further classified into elements and compounds. An element constitutes of only one type of particle. These particles may be atoms or molecules. You may be familiar with atoms and molecules from the previous classes. However, you will be studying about them in detail in Unit 2. Sodium, copper, silver, hydrogen, oxygen, etc. are some examples of elements. They all contain atoms of one type. However, the atoms of different elements are different in nature. Some elements such as sodium and copper contain single atoms held together as their constituent particle, whereas some other two or more atoms combine to give molecules of the element. Thus, hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen gases consist of molecules in which two atoms combine to give their respective molecules. Thus, it is illustrated in the figure 1.3. When two or more atoms of different elements combine, the molecule of the compound is obtained. The examples of such compounds are water, ammonia, carbon dioxide, sugar, etc. The molecule of water and carbon dioxide are represented in the figure 1.4. You have seen above that water molecule comprises two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. Similarly, a molecule of carbon dioxide contains two oxygen atoms combined with one carbon atom. Thus, the atoms of different elements are present in a compound in a fixed and a different ratio, and the ratio is the characteristic of a particular compound. Also, the properties of a compound are different from those of its constituent element. For example, hydrogen and oxygen are gases, whereas the compound found by their combination, that is water, is liquid. It is interesting to know that hydrogen burns with a pop sound and oxygen is a supporter of combustion, but water is used as fire extinguisher. Moreover, the constituent of a compound cannot be separated by simple substances by physical method. They can be separated by chemical methods. 1.3. Every substance has unique characteristic properties. These properties can be classified into two categories: physical properties and chemical properties. Physical properties are those properties which can change by measured or observed without changing the identity of the composition of a substance. Some example of physical quantities are color, odor, melting point, boiling point, density, etc. The measurement or observation of chemical properties require chemical changes to occur. The example of chemical properties are characteristic reaction of different substances. These include acidity or basicity, combustibility, etc. Many properties of matter such as length, area, volume, etc. are quantitative in nature. Many quantitative observation or measurements are represented by number followed by a unit in which it is measured. For example, length of a room can be measured as 6 meter. Here 6 is the number and m denotes meter, the unit in which length is measured. Two different systems of measurement, that is the English system and the metric systems, were being used in different parts of the world. The metric system, which originated in France in late 18th century, was more convenient as it was based on the decimal system. The need of the common standard system was being felt by scientific community. Such a system was established in 1960 and is discussed below in detail. 1.3.1 The International System of Units SI. The International System of Units was established in 11th century. The CGPM is the intergovernmental treaty organization created by a diplomatic treaty known as Meter Convention, which was signed in Paris in 1875. The SI system has 7 base units and they are listed in the table 1.1. These units pertain to the 7 fundamental scientific quantities. The other physical quantities such as speed, volume, density, etc. can be abbreviated from these quantities. The definition of the SI units is given in the table 1.2. The SI system allows use of prefix to indicate the multiples or submultiples of a unit. The prefixes are listed in the table 1.3. Let us now quickly go through some of these quantities which you will be often using in this book. 1.3.2 Mass and weight. Mass of a substance is the amount of matter present in it, while weight is the force exerted by gravity on the object. The mass of a substance is constant, whereas the weight varies from one place to another due to the change in gravity. You should be careful in using these terms. The mass of a substance can be determined very accurately in the laboratory using an analytical balance. The SI unit of mass is given in the table 1.1 is kilogram. However, its fraction gram, 1 kg is equals to 1000 gram, is used in the laboratory due to the smaller amount of chemical used in the chemical reaction. Volume. Volume has a unit of length cube, so the SI system of volume in units is meter cube. But again, in chemistry laboratory, small volumes are used, hence volume is often denoted in centimeters cube or decimeter cube units. Maintaining the national standards of measurement. The system of units, including unit definition, keeps on changing with time. Whenever the accuracy of the measurement of a particular unit was enhanced sustainably by adopting new principle, member nations of Meter Treaty signed in 1875 agreed to change the formal definition of the units. Each modern industrialized country, including India, has the National Meteorology Institute (NMI), which maintains the standards of measurement. This responsibility has been given to the National Physical Laboratory (NPL), New Delhi. This laboratory establishes experiments to realize the base units and derived units of measurement and maintain national standards of measurement. The standards are periodically intercompared with the standards maintained at the National Meteorology Institute in the world, as well as those established in the International Bureau of Standards in Paris. The common unit liter, which is not a SI unit, is used for the measurement of volume of liquid. 1 liter is equals to 1000 ml. 1000 centimeter cube is equals to 1 decimeter cube. Figure 1.6 helps to visualize the relationships. In the laboratory, volume of liquids or solutions can be measured by graduated cylinder, burettes, petettes, etc. The volumetric flask is used to prepare a known volume of a solution. These measuring devices are shown in the figure 1.7. Density. Density of a substance is the measure of the amount of mass per unit volume. So, SI unit of density can be obtained as follows. SI unit of density is equals to SI unit of mass upon SI unit of volume is equals to kg per meter cube. The unit is quite large, but the chemist often express density in gram centimeter cube, where mass is expressed in gram and volume is expressed in centimeter cube. Temperature. There are three common scales for measuring temperature: degree Celsius, F degree Fahrenheit, and K Kelvin. Here K is the SI unit. The thermometers based on these scales are shown in figure 1.8. Generally, the thermometer with Celsius scales are calibrated from 0 to 100, whereas these two quantities are the freezing point and the boiling point of water respectively. The Fahrenheit scale is represented between 32 and 122. The temperature on two scales are related to each other by the following relationship. Degree Fahrenheit is equals to 9 by 5 degrees Celsius plus 32. The Kelvin scale is related to the Celsius scale as follows. Kelvin is equals to degree Celsius plus 273.15. It is interesting to note that temperature below 0 degrees Celsius, that is negative value, are possible in Celsius scale, but in Kelvin scale, negative temperature is not possible. Reference standard. After defining a unit of measurement such as a kilogram or a meter, scientists agreed on reference standards that makes it possible to calibrate all measuring devices. For getting reliable measurements, all devices such as meter stick or analytical balance have been calibrated by their manufacturers to give a correct reading. However, each of these devices is standardized or calibrated against some reference. The mass standard is kilogram since 1889. It has been defined as the mass of platinum iridium cylinder that is stored in an airtight jar at International Bureau of Weight and Measures to serve. France. Platinum iridium was chosen for the standards because it is highly resistant to chemical attacks and its mass will change on extreme long time. Scientists are in search of a new standards for mass. This is being attempted through accurate determination of Avogadro constant. Work on the new standard focuses on the way to measure accurately the number of atoms in a well-defined mass of a sample. One such method, which uses X-ray to determine the atomic density of a crystal of ultra-pure silicon, has a accuracy of about 1 part in 10 to the power 6, but has not yet been adopted to serve as the standard. There are other methods, and none of the other are presently adequate to replace the platinum iridium cylinder. No doubt changes are accepted within this decade. The meter is originally defined as the length between two marks of platinum iridium bar kept at the temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. In 1960, the length of a meter was defined as 1.65076376 into 10 to the power 6 times the wavelength of light emitted by krypton laser. Although this was a cumbersome number, it preserved the length of a meter of its argued value. The meter is redefined in 1985 by CGPM as the length of the path travelled by the light in vacuum during the time interval of 1 upon 299,792,458 of a second. Similarly, the length and the mass there are reference standards of other physical quantities. 1.4 Uncertainty in measurement. Many a times the study of chemistry one has to deal with the experimental data as well as theoretical calculation. There are meaningful ways to handle the numbers conveniently and to present the data realistically with certainty to the extent possible. The ideas are discussed below in detail. 1.4.1 Scientific notation. As chemistry is the study of atoms and molecules which has extremely low mass and are present in extremely large number, a chemist has to deal with with numbers as large as 6.02 for the molecule of 2 grams of hydrogen gas and as small as number 0.0166 grams mass of an hydrogen atom. Similarly, other constants such as Planck's constant, speed of light, charge of a particle, etc. involve numbers of above magnitudes. It may look funny at a moment to write and count the numbers of number involving so many zeros, but often it is a real challenge to do a simple mathematical operation of addition and subtraction, multiplication or division with such numbers. You can write any two numbers of the above type and try one of the operation. You will accept the challenge and then you will really appreciate the difficulty in handling such numbers. This problem is solved using a scientific notation for such number, that is exponential notation, in which any number can be represented in the form of n into 10 to the power small n, where small n is the number of exponents having positive or negative value and n is the number called the digit term, which varies between 1.000 to 9.999. Thus, we can write 232.508 as 2.3258 into 10 to the power 2 in the scientific notation. Note that while writing it, the decimal has to be moved to the left by the place and the same exponent 2 of 10 in the scientific notation. Similarly, 0.00016 can be written as 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 4. Here, the decimal has to be moved 4 places to the right, and minus 4 is the exponent in the scientific notation. Now, for performing mathematical operation, the number expressed in scientific notation as follows points are kept in mind: multiplication and division. The two operations follow the same rule, which are there for exponential number, that is addition and subtraction. For these two operations, first the number are written in such a way that they have same exponent. After that, the coefficient are added or subtracted as the case may be. Thus, on adding this and this, exponents are made same for both the number. Then these numbers can be added as follows. Similarly, subtraction of two numbers can be done as shown below. 1.4.2 Significant figures. Every exponential measure has some amount of uncertainty associated with it. However, one would always like to result to be precise and accurate. Precision and accuracy are often referred to while we talk about the measurement. Precision refers to the closeness of various measurements of the same quantity. However, accuracy is the agreement of a particular value to the true value of the result. For example, if the true value for a result is 2.00 grams and a student A takes two measurement and reports the result as 1.95 and 1.93 grams, these values are precise as they are close to each other but not accurate. Another student repeats the experiment and obtains 9.4 grams and 2.5 grams as the result of the two measurements. These observations are neither precise nor accurate. When the third student repeats these measurements and reports 2.1 gram and 1.99 gram as results, these values are both precise and accurate. These can be more clearly understood from the data given below in the table 1.4. The uncertainty of an experimental or the calculated value is indicated by mentioning the number of significant figures. Significant figures are meaningful digits which are known with certainty. The uncertainty is indicated by writing the certain digits and the last uncertain digit. Thus, if we write a result as 11.2 ml, we say that 11 is certain but 2 is uncertain, and the uncertainty would be plus 1 minus 1 in the last digit. Unless otherwise stated, the uncertainty of plus minus 1 in the last digit is always understood. There are certain rules for determining the number of significant figures. These are stated below. First, all non-zero digits are significant. For example, in 285 centimeter, there are 3 significant figures, and in 0.25 ml, there are 2 significant figures. Second, zeros preceding the non-zero digits are not significant, such as 0 indicated the position of a decimal point. Thus, 0.03 has one significant figure and 0.0052 has two significant figures. Third, 0 between non-zero digits are significant. Thus, 2.005 has four significant figures. Fourth, Zeros at the end or right of a number are significant provided that they are right side of a decimal point. For example, 0.200 grams of 3 has three significant figures, but if otherwise the terminal zeros are not significant if there is no decimal point. For example, 100 has only one significant figure, but 100 point has three significant figures, and thus 100.0 has four significant figures. Such numbers are better represented in the scientific notation, where we can express the number 100 as 1 into 10 to the power 2 for one significant figure, and 1.0 for two significant figures, and 1.00 into 10 to the power 2 for three significant figures. Fifth, counting numbers for objects. For example, two balls or two eggs have indefinite significant figures, as there are exact number and can be represented by writing infinite numbers of zeros after placing a decimal, that is 2 equal to 2.00000, or 20 is equals to 20.000000. The numbers written in scientific notation, all digits are significant. Example, 4.01 into 10 to the power 2 has three significant figures, or 8.256 into 10 to the power minus 3 has four significant figures. Addition or subtraction of significant figures. The result cannot be more digits to the right of a decimal point than either of the original number. Here 18.0 has only one digit after the decimal point, and the result should be reported only up to one digit after the decimal point, where is 31.1. Multiplication and division of significant figures. In this operation, the results must be reported with no more significant figures as there are in the measurement with the fewer significant figures. 2.5 into 1.25 is equals to 3.125. Since 2.5 has two significant figures, the result should not have more than two significant figures. Thus, it is 3.1. While limiting the result to be required number of significant figures, it is done to keep the above mathematical operation. One has to keep in mind the following points for rounding off a number. First, if the rightmost digit is to be removed is more than 5, the preceding number is increased by 1. For example, 1.386, if we have to remove 6, we have to round it to 1.39. Second, if the rightmost digit to be removed is less than 5, the preceding number will not change. For example, 4.334, if 4 is to be removed, then the result is rounded up to 4.33. Third, if the rightmost digit to be removed is 5, then the preceding number will not change if it is even number, but it will be increased by 1 if it is an odd number. For example, if 6.35 is rounded by removing 5, we have to increase 3 to 4, giving 6.4 as the result. However, if 6.25 is to be rounded off, it is rounded off to 6.2. 1.4.3 Dimensional analysis. Often while calculating, there is a need to convert units from one system to another. The method used to accomplish this is called factor label method, or unit factor method, or dimensional analysis. This is illustrated below. Example, a piece of metal is 3 inch represented by IN long. What is the length in centimeter? Both the cases are called unit factors. If some number is multiplied by the unit factor, that is 1, it will not affect otherwise. Say, in 3 inches given above is multiplied by the unit factor, so now the unit factor is multiplication be done by the unit factor this, which gives the desired unit, and the numerator should have a part of which is required in the desired result. It should also be noted in the above example that the unit can be handled just like other numerical part. It can be cancelled, divided, multiplied, squared, etc. Let us study one more example. 1.5 Laws of chemical combination. The combination of elements to form compound is governed by the following 5 basic laws. 1.5.1 Law of conservation of mass. It states that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. This law was put forth by Antony Lavoisier in 1789. He performed careful experimental studies for combustion reaction. After reaching to the above conclusion, the law formed the basis of several later developments in chemistry. In fact, this was the result of exact measurement of masses of reactant and products and carefully planned experiment performed by Lavoisier. 1.5.2 The Law of Definite Proportion. This law was given by French chemist Joseph Proust. He stated that the given compound always contains the same proportion of element by weight. Proust worked with 2 samples of cupric carbonate, one in which has natural origin and the other was synthetic one. He found that the composition of elements present in it was same for both the sample as shown below. Thus, irrespective of the source, the given compound always contains same elements in the same proportion. The validity of this law has been confirmed by various experiments. This is sometimes also referred to as law of definite proportion. 1.5.3 Law of Multiple Proportion. This law was proposed by Dalton in 1803. According to this law, if the elements can combine to form more than one compound, the masses of an element can combine with a fixed mass of the other element are in the ratio of small whole number. For example, hydrogen combines with oxygen to form 2 compounds, namely water and hydrogen peroxide. 2 grams of hydrogen plus 16 grams of oxygen gives water. 2 grams of hydrogen plus 32 grams of oxygen gives hydrogen peroxide. Here the masses of oxygen, that is 16 grams and 32 grams, were combined in a fixed mass of hydrogen 2 grams, bear a simple ratio, that is 16:32 or 1:2. 1.5.4 Gay-Lussac's Law of Gaseous Volume. The law was given by Gay-Lussac in 1808. He observed that when gases combine or are produced in a chemical reaction, they do so in a simple ratio by volume, provided all gases are at same temperature and pressure. Thus, 100 ml of hydrogen combines with 50 ml of oxygen to give 100 ml of water vapor. Thus, the volume of hydrogen and oxygen which combines together, that is 100 ml and 50 ml, bears a simple ratio of 2:1. Gay-Lussac's discovery of integer ratio in volume relation is actually the law of definite proportion by volume. The law of definite proportion stated earlier with which respect to mass. The Gay-Lussac's law was explained properly by the work of Avogadro in 1819. 1.5.5 Avogadro's law. In 1811, Avogadro proposed that equal volumes of gases at the same temperature and pressure should contain equal number of molecules. Avogadro made a distinction between atoms and molecules, which were quite understandable in the present time. If we considered again the reaction of hydrogen and oxygen to produce water, we see that 2 volumes of hydrogen combines with 1 volume of oxygen to give 2 volumes of water without leaving any unreacted oxygen. Note that in figure 1.9, each box contains equal number of molecules. In fact, Avogadro could explain the above result by considering the molecule be a polyatomic. If hydrogen and oxygen were considered as diatoms, as recognized now, then the above results are easily understandable. However, Dalton and others believed that at the time that atoms of the same kind cannot combine and molecules of oxygen or hydrogen containing 2 atoms did not exist. Avogadro's proposal was published in the French journal De Physiologie. In spite of being correct, it did not gain much support. After about 50 years in 1860, first international conference on chemistry was held in Karlsruhe, Germany, to resolve the various ideas. In the meeting, Stanislaw Cannizzaro presented a sketch of the course of chemical philosophy which emphasized the importance of Avogadro's work. 1.6 Dalton's atomic theory. Although the origin of idea that the matter is composed of small indivisible particle called atomia, meaning indivisible, dates back to the time of Democritus, a Greek philosopher, it again started emerging as a result of several experimental studies which led to the law mentioned above. In 1808, Dalton published a new system of chemical philosophy in which he proposed the following. First, matter consists of indivisible atoms. Second, all the atoms of a given element have identical properties including identical mass. Atoms of different elements differ in mass. Third, compounds are formed when atoms of different elements combined in a fixed ratio. Fourth, chemical reaction involved reorganization of atoms. These are neither created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. Dalton's theory could explain the law of chemical combination. 1.7 Atomic and molecular masses. After having some idea about the term atoms and molecule, it is appreciated here to understand what we mean by atomic and molecular masses. 1.7.1 Atomic mass. The atomic mass or the mass of an atom is actually very small because the atoms are extremely small. Today we have sophisticated a technique that is mass spectrography for determining the atomic masses fairly accurately, but in the 19th century scientists could determine the mass of an atom relative to another by experimental means, as has been mentioned earlier. Hydrogen, being the lightest atom, was arbitrarily assigned a mass of 1 without any unit, and other elements were assigned mass relative to it. However, in the present system of atomic mass is based on the carbon 12 as the standard and has been agreed upon in 1961. Here carbon 12 is one of the isotope of carbon and can be represented as 12 carbon, and in this system 12 carbon is assigned a mass of exact 12 atomic mass unit AMU, and the masses of all the other elements are given relative to the standards. One atomic mass unit is defined as a mass exact equal to 1/12 of the mass of a carbon atom, 12 atom. 1.1 AMU is equals to 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 24 gram. Mass of an atom of hydrogen 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 24 grams. Thus in terms of AMU, the mass of an hydrogen atom is equals to 1.0078 AMU. Similarly, the mass of oxygen 16 atom would be 15.995 AMU. Today AMU has been replaced by U, which is known as unified mass. When we use atomic mass of an element for calculation, we actually use the average atomic mass of an element, which are explained below. 1.7.2 Average atomic mass. Many naturally occurring elements exist as more than one isotope. When we take into account the existence of these isotopes and their relative abundance, percent occurrence, the average atomic mass of an element can be computed. For example, carbon has the following three isotopes with relative abundance and masses as shown against each of them. From the above data, the average atom mass of carbon will come out to be 12.011 U. Similarly, average atomic mass for other elements can be calculated. In the periodic table of an element, the atomic mass mentioned of different elements actually represents their average atomic masses. 1.7.3 Molecular masses. Molecular masses is the sum of atomic masses of an element present in a molecule. It is obtained by multiplying the atomic mass of an element by the number of atoms and adding them together. For example, molecular mass of methane, which contains one carbon atom and four hydrogen atoms, can be obtained as follows. Molecular mass of methane CH4 is equals to 12.001 U plus 4 into 1.008 U is equals to 16.043 U. Similarly, molecular mass of water is 18.2 U. 1.7.4 Formula mass. Some substances such as sodium chloride do not contain discrete molecule as their constituent unit. In such compound, positive sodium and negative chloride entities are arranged in three-dimensional structure as shown in the figure 1.10. It may be noted that sodium chloride 1 Na plus is surrounded by 6 chlorine and vice versa. The formula is known as NaCl is used to calculate the formula mass instead of the molecular mass as a solid state. Sodium chloride does not exist as a single entity. Thus, formula mass of sodium chloride is the atomic mass of sodium plus atomic mass of chloride. 1.8 Mole concept and molar masses. Atoms and molecules are extremely small in sizes, and the number in even small amount of any substance is really large. To handle such a large number, a unit of similar magnitude is required. Just as we denote 1 dozen of 12 items, score of 20 items, and gross of 144 items, we use the idea of mole to calculate entities at microscopic level, that is atoms, molecules, particles, electrons, ions, etc. In SI system, mole symbol MOL was introduced in the 7th base unit of the amount of substance. 1 mole of a substance that contains as many particles or entities as there are atoms in exactly 12 grams of carbon isotope. It may be emphasized that the mole of a substance always contains the same number of entities, no matter what the substance may be. In order to determine the number precisely, the mass of a carbon 12 atom was determined by the mass spectrometer and found to be equal to 1.99 into 10 to the power minus 3 gram, 23 grams. Knowing that 1 mole of carbon weighs 12 grams, the number of atoms in it is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms per mole. This number of entity in 1 mole is so important that it is given a separate name and symbol, and it is known as Avogadro's constant, denoted by Na, in honor of Amedeo Avogadro. To really appreciate largeness of the number, let us write all the zeros without using any power of 10. Hence, so many entities, atoms, molecules and other particles constitute 1 mole of a particular substance. We can therefore say that 1 mole of hydrogen is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atom. 1 mole of water molecule is equal to Na water molecules. 1 mole of sodium chloride is equals to formula units of sodium chloride. Having defined the mole, it is easier to know mass of 1 mole of a substance or constituent entities. The mass of 1 mole of a substance in gram is called as molar mass. The molar mass in gram is the numerically equal to atomic molecular formula mass in U. Molecular mass of water is 18.02 gram per mole. Molar mass of sodium chloride is 58.5 gram per mole. 1.9 percentage composition. So far we are dealing with the number of entities present in a given sample, but many a times the information regarding the percentage of a particular element present in a compound is required. Suppose an unknown or a new compound is given to you. The first question you would ask is what is the formula, or what are the constituent and in what ratio they are present in the given compound. For known compound also, such information provides a check whether the given sample contains the same percentage of element as it is present in the pure sample. In other words, one can check the purity of a given substance by analyzing its data. Let us understand this by taking an example of water. Since water contains hydrogen and oxygen, the percentage composition of both the element can be calculated as follow. Mass of an element is equals to mass of the element in a compound into 100 by molecular mass of the compound. Let us now take one more example. What is the percentage of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen in ethanol? After understanding the calculation of percent of mass, let us now see what information can be obtained from the percent composition data. 1.9.1 Empirical formula for molecular formula. An empirical formula represents the simplest number ratio of various atoms present in a compound, whereas the molecular formula shows the exact number of different types of atoms present in a molecule of a compound. If the mass percent of various elements present in a compound is known, its empirical formula can be determined. Molecular formula can be obtained if the molar mass is known. The following example illustrate the sequence. 1.10 Stoichiometry and stoichiometric calculation. The word stoichiometry is derived from two Greek words, stoichion meaning element and metron meaning measure. Stoichiometry thus deals with the calculation of masses, sometimes volumes also, of a reactant and the products also in the chemical reaction. Before understanding how the calculation of amount of reactant required or the products produced in a chemical reaction, let us study what information is available from a balanced chemical equation of a given reaction. Let us consider the combustion of a methane. A balanced equation for the reaction is given below. Methane plus 2 oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus 2 water. Here, methane and dioxygen are also called reactant, and carbon dioxide and water are called products. Note that all the reactants and products are gaseous in the above reaction, and this has been indicated by letter G in the bracket next to its formula. Similarly, in the case of solids and liquids, S and L are written respectively. The coefficient 2 for oxygen and H2O are called stoichiometric coefficients. Similarly, the coefficient for methane and carbon dioxide is 1 in each case. This represents the number of molecule and mole as well taking part in the reaction or formed in the reaction. Thus, according to the above chemical reaction, 1 mole of methane reacts with 2 mole of oxygen to give 1 mole of carbon dioxide and 2 mole of water. 1 molecule of methane reacts with 2 molecules of oxygen to give 1 molecule of carbon dioxide and 2 molecules of water. 22.7 liters of methane reacts with 45.4 liters of oxygen to give 22.7 liters of carbon dioxide and 45.4 liters of water. 16 gram of methane reacts with 2 into 32 grams of oxygen to give 44 grams of carbon dioxide and 2 into 18 grams of water. From these relations, the given data can be interconverted as follows: mass, mole, number of molecules. Mass per unit volume is equals to density. 1.10.1 Limiting reagent. Many a times the reaction can be carried out when the reactants are not present in the amount as required in the balanced chemical reaction. In such a situation, one reactant is in excess over the other. The reactant which is present in the lesser amount are consumed after some time, and after that no further reaction takes place, whatever be the amount of the other reactant present. Hence the reactant gets consumed limited to the amount of product formed and is therefore called the limiting reagent. In performing stoichiometric calculation, the aspect is also to be kept in mind. 1.10.2 Reaction in solution. A majority of reactions in the laboratory are carried out in a solutions. Therefore, it is important to understand how the amount of substance is expressed when it is present in the form of solution. The concentration of the solution and the amount of substance present in its given volume can be expressed in any of the following ways. First, mass percent or weight percent, weight by weight percent. Second, mole fraction. Third, molarity. Fourth, molality. Let us now try to study each of them in detail. First, mass percent. It is obtained using the following relation: mass percent is equals to mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. Second, mole fraction. It is the ratio of number of molecules in a particular component in the total number of moles of the solution. If the substance A dissolves in a substance B, the number of moles in Na and NB respectively, then the mole fraction of A and B are given as: mole fraction of A is equals to number of moles of A upon total number of moles of solution is equals to Na by Na plus Nb. Mole fraction of B is equals to number of moles of B upon number of moles of solution is equals to Nb upon Na plus Nb. Third, molarity. It is most widely used unit and is denoted by capital M. It is defined as the number of moles of solute in 1 liter of solution. Thus, molarity M is equals to number of moles of solute per unit volume of solution in liter. Suppose I have 1 molar solution of a substance, say NaOH. We want to prepare a 0.2 molar solution from it. 1 molar NaOH means 1 mole of NaOH present in 1 liter of a solution. For 0.2 molar solution, we require 0.2 mole of NaOH in 1 liter solution. Hence we have to take 0.2 liter of NaOH and make a solution of 1 liter. Now how much volume of concentrated 1 molar NaOH solution be taken which contains 0.2 moles of NaOH can be calculated as follows: if 1 mole is present in 1 liter or 1000 ml, then 0.2 mole is present in 200 ml. Thus 200 ml of 1 molar NaOH is taken enough water to add and dilute it to make 1 liter. In fact, for such calculation, a general formula M1V1 is equals to M2V2, where M and V are molarity and volume respectively, can be used. In this case, M1 is equal to 0.2 into V1 equals to 1000 ml and M2 is equals to 1 and V2 is to be calculated. Substituting the values in the formula, we get 200 ml. Note that the number of moles of solute in NaOH is 0.2 and in 200 ml and it has remained the same, that is 0.2 even after dilution in 1000 ml. As we have changed just the amount of solvent, that is water, and have not done anything with respect to NaOH but kept in mind the concentration. Fourth, molality. It is defined as the number of moles of solute present in 1 kg of solvent. It is denoted by small m. Thus, molality small m is equals to number of moles of solute upon mass of solvent in kg.